Hey YouTube, this guitar does actually have strap buttons, but rather than put a strap on it, I'm going for the knee on top of the speaker. It's not a speaker, it's actually a stool, but it should be a monitor, really, shouldn't it? So this is a sort of weird size. This is smaller. It's the same shape. I'm basically, my acoustic experience goes, I've got a couple of Yamahas that are very similar to this. Very square shoulders. Kind of looks like the Yamahas I had. I think the body's a bit smaller this way. I think a Dreadnought's more kind of... So it's like, it's not a parlour guitar. It'll have a name. It'll be an... Is that an 000 or 001? Maybe based after some sort of Martin. It's a Fender Classic designed in the USA. A CC60S Natural. Serial number IPS 200. Probably a 2020. Crafted in Indonesia. Yep, so I think this is a... I think it's a laminate top. That's a different place to put the strap button. Okay. I think that might be a factory strap button. I was going to say, I don't like the idea of putting a screw in there. I mean, that's just a thin piece of wood. That's just going to pull out. But there's actually a block of wood on the back of it for that very purpose. So, well done, Fender. That was a good move. Yeah, it's got a wee bit of a volute in the back there. It's got a... Do Acoustics normally have a scarf joint? Maybe they do. Maybe they're just normally a darker wood. So, yeah. So, just had this in for a guy. I've got this in for a guy just around the corner. Up here, a couple of dead frets and stuff like that. It wasn't. It's just the strings were ancient. Strings might have actually been the original ones on it. It's like I went to take them off, and it was like you could physically feel them like that. So, as usual, this is just a bit more of a test to make sure it's working. But I mean, it's playing really well. I should play acoustic more. At least this year. I think maybe not last year, but a few years before, I've got a couple of really nice Japanese Washburn acoustics. I restrung them. I was like, right, this year I'm going to play more acoustic. This year I'm going to play more acoustic, and then they never get played. So I didn't even pretend to try this year. My problem with acoustics is playing the bar chords up here is not actually as hard. I think it's maybe just a wee bit of a mental block in it, because I'm so used to... I think it might be a similar thing with slide guitar and alternate tunings, where when I tried all these things, I'd played the guitar for a year or whatever, and they were very hard. Whereas now, maybe I can just do them, and I can play it up here. It'll be a bit of an interesting... It'll be a bit of a scratch plate. A wee bit of a design thing there. I think one of my problems with acoustic is I think an acoustic sounds really good when you hit it really hard. And that works great when you're playing open chords. I'll put a B minor in it. There you go. That's ELO Face the Music, first song. Fire on High, I think it's called. Those are the acoustic things I like. I'm not so keen on Not that there's anything wrong with playing the guitar really gently and playing very few notes. That's how I feel a wee bit when people play slow acoustic. Oh, what do you think of a new song? I think it's shite, mate. Sorry. But I've always been one for, I like a bit more upbeatness to me music. I was actually on a wee bit of a tangent here talking about him, you know, learning to play the guitar from the start. Comfortably Numb's a great song to learn to play because it starts off with a B minor, which is the bastard chord. Oh! And it's just normal chords. A, G, and a wee bit of. So it's a wee bit. It's got a couple of wee bits in it that are really good for learning. So I'm assuming you can stand Pink Floyd. I mean, to be honest, the first time I'd always heard of this song called Comfortably Numb, and I was, oh, Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb. Oh, it's pure amazing. And I heard it and it was like, really? That's a pure amazing song. I like it now, but I didn't really. If someone had get, you know, that pure, oh, it's a really good song. Echoes, ooh, or One of These Days, or, you know, Atom Heart Mother, I would have been like, wow, Pink Floyd, but not Comfortably Numb. I don't really, or anything off Dark Side of the Moon. Didn't appeal to me when I was 18 or 17 when I was learning to play the guitar. No, I do. I like the size of this. It's not electric, which is kind of bizarre. You don't see that very often on acoustics these days. Another way of fooling people into thinking you know a lot about guitars. This is an acoustic guitar, right? See if it had a pickup in it, like you get in modern ones, like in Below the Bridge. It's still an acoustic guitar. Because someone's like, oh, I've got a guitar at home. Oh, what kind of guitar do you play? Oh, it's an electroacoustic. You're like, it's an acoustic. It does have a pickup in it. It's a pure kind of guitar. I've got a Strat. Not a 3-pickup Strat. It's like, you know, it doesn't make any difference. But I mean, this I can't really fault it. I think he said it was about 150 quid. So I mean, as I would always say when you're looking at these guitars, go and try them out in the shop. There is a slight variance in wood between them, so you might get like a really good one, and when the next one that came off the assembly line might not be as good, vice versa. I'm not sure how much that happens with like your laminate ones. I mean, the laminate thing is not a big deal though. It's like the set neck. Oh, you've got to have a set neck for sustain. You know. Same with the laminate thing. Okay, all solid woods is much more expensive, but also much more fragile and likely to break. I think that the main difference is when they're new, they're it's like a solid top. So the top's important, but it doesn't really matter what the back and sides are made of, to the same extent. Because I've seen somebody who made one out of paper mache, but it had a solid top on it, and it kind of sounded the same as when it did when it had a full back on it. Obviously, a really nice acoustic is a really nice acoustic. I kind of always thought I would have one. I used to be very much of the opinion that like a £200 electric guitar was like at the same level as a £100 acoustic, and it kind of went up. So basically, if you spent £500 on an acoustic, it would be the same kind of quality as a £1,000 electric. I don't think that was very true though. There's some elements of it, I think. Of course, the big difference here is it doesn't really matter what kind of amp you're using because it's not plugged in. So you've just got everything here. It's all down to how you play. See, I'm still playing songs I worked out 20 years ago. Also, one of the reasons I don't play many acoustic things is I generally tend to get copyright strikes for it because every time I keep getting playing. One of my favourite things is Eagles. which I keep getting copyright strike for. That's why I didn't play it right there. The thing is, I think because another thing I was saying about not being able to play them high up, I've been playing the bass forever now. I've been in a Black Sabbath band and I'm pure thumping it, so my fingers are like, ugh, I could crush your skull. So I mean, I can actually do it. I can play kind of old. My pal used to be able to play the intro to Shine On in an acoustic. It'd be like pure. So he had fingers that were unbelievable. The thing is, whenever you saw him, whenever he moved on to, he doesn't do it now, but at the time, because we've only been playing a couple of years, he'd get on an electric and it'd be like, because he would just hold the strings in as hard as he could. That's how you could play lead on the 20th fret or the 18th fret of an acoustic. I definitely think there's a lot to be said for having all of them, having an electric, an acoustic and a bass, and kind of, because as you learn one you get better at the others, you know, maybe the acoustic maybe more for finger strength, the bass for timing, you know, I don't know, but they all need finger strength, they all need the correct chords, and they all need timing. Well, but bass doesn't need chords. Actually, I think I like this size an awful lot better than the full-size Dreadnoughts. Not as loud, not as bassy, I suppose. Slightly thinner sound, but this is a nice size. It's bigger than my wee Gretsch, the parlour guitar, which is, I actually quite like that guitar as well. It's just a wee bit wee. This is only 10% smaller than what I'm classing as a standard Dreadnought, like my Yamahas and my Washburns. But nice guitar. I mean, maybe that just goes for. I have had Fender guitars that were shit. Let's be honest. Like Acoustics, probably not more recent ones. I think now maybe just since the internet and all that's kicked about. If you produce a guitar that's crap, it's all over the internet. People going, "Oh, but this it was pure terrible," so they don't sell them. So they've now got to make them so that anyone's going to play it. And I don't think you could really fault this. I mean, it's like, yeah, play this against a £1,000 Martin. Well, the £1,000 Martin's better, but it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with this. It's just for the price, like 150 quid or sub 200, I think. And although there is an element of guitars, this works for electrics as well, of not being hand built anymore. Really, okay, set your custom shop or whatever, it's really expensive guitars are still sometimes hand built, whereas back in even the 80s they were CNC routed and stuff, but they were still kind of hand built. The difference was that the people building the guitar really mattered. So you get your Korean guitars where the people who are building it aren't as well trained as the people who are building the Japanese guitars, whereas now if you go into China stuff, it's ultimately very nearly, I think anyway, a kind of whole computerized process, so there's no mistakes, there isn't a human element in it, therefore the quality level's totally consistent. Whereas if you are building them by hand, you know, it's like some guys not very good builds them this good, but someone who's pure amazing builds them this good, so you get like more of a variance. And this guy you have to pay tons of money, that's why it costs $2,000. Whereas if you're it's a factory, I mean, you know, like Gibson have got these printed circuit boards, so they don't have to pay somebody who's assembling the guitar to learn how to solder. We don't have to solder, obviously time as well, so all they're doing is basically, you can just get a minimum wage job, go in, what are you doing? You're taking a guitar, you're putting the circuit board in, you're connecting that, you're putting on a bolt, next. You know, that way of building. I'd imagine still somebody has to put the strings on it and do, you know, cut the nut and stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty well done. It's setup wise, didn't have to do anything. I didn't even look at the truss rod, to be honest. Perfect. It's one of those ones where it's up your it's up your it's got a couple of couple of dead notes and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, okay, an acoustic. Oh, I'll get the fretboard. And then it's like, as soon as I took off one string, it was like, oh my god, it's the strings. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you put those strings on a hand-built 1945 Martin with the strings that were on it compared to this sounds better because it's got good strings on it. It's a really important part of the thing is having decent strings. Strings are one of my banes of my life. I keep having all these guitars that are pure amazing, and I just can't keep strings on them. Strings only really last a month or two, and then I'll get too many guitars. I don't have a chance to play them. So I mean, I'm sitting here. There's guitars in here like that white Strat, and that I've got new strings on them, and I haven't played them since I put them on. That was probably a month ago. So the strings are kind of already on the way out the door, and I've never even used them. So my way around that used to be to use elixirs, but I got ripped off with fake ones a lot. Elixirs are £15 a set. They do last longer. They are great, but £15 a set, £5 a set. I'll just have normal strings and just keep rotating them. Yep, so the Fender CC-60S. I don't know what S stands for. S I would have thought meant solid top. Maybe it is a solid top. Yeah, maybe it is a solid top actually. I think it is. It is. Okay, S is solid top, so it does have a solid top. Solid top used to be a big thing. When I bought my Yamaha on my 18th birthday, it was like the first ever solid top acoustic you could get for under 300 quid or something like that. It was like, I remember seeing it in the magazine. It was like, oh, the new breakthrough, the first ever. But I think again, it comes down to, trying to get a piece of wood this size, which is a bit smaller than a dreadnought. This piece of wood probably costs a third as much as the bit that does a dreadnought. Even though it's the same piece of wood, it's just because it was slightly smaller. You see that with actually Jen got a lag acoustic, and it's a parlour size one, and it's tiny and it's all solid woods, and I think they're only about £500 new, and it's just because, you know, it's the same as like neck wood, like a piece of maple that's long enough to make a Telecaster neck is a premium piece. See if it's an inch short to make a Telecaster neck, it probably costs about a quarter as much because you can't make a Telecaster out of it without sticking bits on. Marvellous. Rock on.